Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Off the Ropes, episode 10, AEW Forbidden Door preview show. It's Brett Swinney here, and I'm bringing the rest of the gang. We got Jeremy, Kyle, Brandon, and Matt here tonight. We got a full house. Welcome, fellas.
What's up, guys?
Welcome.
How's everyone's week going?
I'm just happy to be at home doing this and not at work doing it. That's all I'm saying.
You do sound a lot better, Kyle.
And I'm sure I feel a lot better. It's a lot more comfortable than having to worry about doing 50 other things. So my picks will be perfect tonight because I'm focused.
So there's no excuse. Okay.
No excuse.
Hey, the best news is he's not sideways or upside down or walking down the hallway getting a snack from the vending machine or what? I don't know.
Well, I'll just say, as long as you stick with me and Matt, then you'll be in good shape, Kyle. Because we did win. Matt wasn't here last time, but we did win last pick'em. Matt, if you didn't know, we won last time. So congratulations.
I expect that at this point. You know, I am your reigning and defending DFW varsity pick'em champion in the high school football world. I expect nothing different in the professional wrestling or sports entertainment world.
I've got a nice little title here of my own here. You know, I'm a pick'em champ as well. So, you know, I guess it's just that's the way it works sometimes, you know.
I'm trying to find a trophy around me and I don't find one.
There's a lot of jokes there, KO, but we'll leave them alone.
So I was gonna say though that I can promise you, me and Matt will not agree tonight. At least once.
At least once.
So you're gonna pick against MJF, I assume.
I'm not picking against MJF.
So I'm gonna start tonight. We're gonna try a new segment here. We sometimes do it anyway. We're gonna call it off topic. I'm gonna pick 3 topics that are kind of, since we don't come together, but you know, every so often, things that have happened since we've last come together. They're kind of things I think that would be interesting to talk about before we just start previewing the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. My first one is the new WWE belts. They've been out since we've last talked. Thoughts on the new belts, Phyllis?
I don't know that I have a thought on the belts itself, but they did finally get out of this whole women's thing, right? Like,
yes,
they went the easy way, but they did. I'm all for it, but you know, I mean, the belts are the belts, right? Like, they are what they are. But I was interested to see how they get out of the women's thing. We talked about that. Matter of fact, the last couple times we were on, and here we are, easy solution that even we didn't think. We always dogged Vince, but he had the easy solution. We never even had that one. So. Okay.
Well, did he? Because we have the belts look the exact same except with their gold. Exact same setup except their gold. Also, correct me if I'm wrong because I'm confused about this. Asuka is the women's champion and Rhea is the women's world champion, right?
She's a women's WWE champion.
Well, I think Rhea is the world champion and then Asuka is the WWE champion.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, right. Correct. That's
stupid. They are way too close together to be.
Is there a difference? Which one's better?
That's my point. Like, one of them shouldn't be better because they're both women's championships. Neither one of them they should be equal. So I guess that's what they were going for because the titles look the exact same except they have a white strap, and then the names are the same except one has world in it and one doesn't. So where Jeremy, I agree, they at least did something to kind of make sense of this.
They got rid of the Raw SmackDown part. That was needed. That needed to happen.
Why is Roman carrying around 3 belts?
Because he's Roman Reigns.
Otherwise, what would Heyman do?
Collector.
My prediction on that is once Roman drops that, then it'll just fall back to the 1 belt. I've read somewhere where they're keeping the lineage. So, like, he still has the lineage of the Universal and the WWE Championship. And once he loses it, the Universal will go away, and that'll be the end of it, and they'll just continue as the undisputed WWE champion or whatever they decide to call it.
I'm glad they did something with the women's titles, but they also made it a little more confusing to me because now you got one's a world champion and one's not a world champion, but they're the same.
I don't know. It's more confusing to me to have the Raw women on SmackDown, the SmackDown women on Raw. I don't know. Who knows?
And I believe they've done this in the past. I think one of the old world belts was a merger of the world and the WWE, and then they brought the Universal in to put a belt back into both brands, and now we've got the world, Universal, and WWE technically. So who knows?
It's
I
really
don't like to
confusing.
answer your question. It's just
Well,
WWE stuff.
I did like that they did fix the women's without them having a handoff
That's-
exchange. That was at least something. I didn't want to see them do that again. Where okay, you've got to go hand your title to each other and pass the belts. That was. It's better than that. I don't know what. I wish they would just quit messing with the belts, honestly. But at least it's better than that. I wish they could have been more creative than just, hey, let's make a women's championship belt that's just like the men's we just created and putting the color. That to me, that's not very creative at all.
And unless I missed it somewhere, was that ever like announced? Was it like a big deal, or just all of a sudden we started out Raw with this? I know they did it on the SmackDown before, but was it just kind of out of the blue, or did this? Maybe I missed it where they talked about that.
They announced it before the show. Like I know Rhea and Asuka specifically, they had before the show started, they said coming up tonight, Rhea gets a new belt. It wasn't like planned weeks in advance, I don't think.
Right.
No,
so
it's
it was just
probably-
like that night.
Vince
Here it
is like, hey, let's go ahead and do this belt thing right here.
Let's get some new belts out here, guys.
Yeah, let's y'all make one real quick. Just make a duplicate of the men's and just make it smaller real quick.
And add a white strap to it. We'll be good.
Yeah. No, it was kind of weird, but that's just kind of something that's happened. Number 2, and we'll kind of talk about this with this pay-per-view, CM Punk's return on the debut of Collision. So thoughts on that? His return plus the first Collision episode.
I enjoyed Collision. I thought Collision was very entertaining. A couple of things I didn't like. The commentary team, I'm a fan of Nigel, and Kevin Kelly does a fine job, but that night, maybe it was the first night jitters or something. I just don't think the commentary team added anything to it. He kept calling Andrade El Idolo by the different name that I couldn't understand. Then the ring announcer calls Buddy Matthews Buddy Murphy.
Greatest part of the whole night.
So overall, though, I thought Collision was a very entertaining show. My question is, do they do this every Saturday, or was this just here's our first show, let's put bangers out here for that? I would like to see if they can continue it. And as far as CM Punk goes, I think having him back adds a shot in the arm to AEW that they needed. I think that they have turned this whole shoot into a work now, where he's calling out the Young Bucks, calling them counterfeit Bucks, which line of the night, by the way.
That was hilarious. That was great. Yeah,
but I'm excited to see CM Punk back. I'm excited to see what he does with the roster. And I'm excited for Collision because it gets different stars out there that we don't see on Dynamite, like Andrade, Miro, and whoever else they decide to throw out there. I think this could be a show for them, whereas Dynamite has your, Blackpool Combat Club and all them on that show. I'm not thrilled about them having a hard brand split if that's what they do. I don't think they need to do like WWE does because they don't abide by it anyway.
So what's Rampage now, guys?
Dark.
I mean, I was already kind of making Rampage one of those that I just missed. Now I don't even really care about it, honestly.
I don't record it.
Yeah.
I record it's hours, so I record it and I turn it on because you just never know. Because there are some decent. They still have a title match every once in a while. They're not just pretty good. You had some good. You had some interesting matches. So, but it's only an hour, so it's not. It doesn't take up that much time. That's the good thing about it.
Yeah, and it doesn't take an hour if you're skipping through it too.
It's true.
Real fast, but
it's fastest hour in television.
Yeah,
and they don't do any promo. Like the only promo they do on Rampage is the little Mark Henry thing at the end. Like it's 3 or 4 matches, bang, bang, bang. So
well, you can tell now they're starting to push those things that they want to cross over. They're moving those to Collision, and we saw that tonight a little bit. There was like, this is on Collision, this is on Collision. You might have a few things that they talked about on Rampage, but I think it's going to be the third tier show that's going to have guys that you probably don't care about on there. Maybe some good ring matches, but not a whole lot of storylines on that show.
So it's going to be their version of Main Event, and that didn't go very well. Overall, I thought the show was really good. My concern, the more that I thought about it and read about, especially Punk's promo, which I'm with you, Kay. I loved it. I thought that it was probably what we expected and wanted from him in that moment. But there were a lot of things there. Honestly, my concern for them is they're going to have to do that every week. They're going to have to do more than that every week because here in about 7 weeks, boys, college football will be out, and they're going to be in a bind. As much as I love the product, nobody's going to watch. I say nobody. The numbers are going to go way down in terms of live viewership, and I'm sure they're aware of that. But even to go back and watch it, I mean, when you're going to watch it, you're going to watch it on Sunday? No, because if you watch college football, you're probably watching the NFL, and so those type of things. But I do like the fact that they're bringing some new people over. I've heard the Andrade Malachi Black feud may carry over on a Collision now for a few weeks, which I think would be great. Uh, FTR is finishing up, in their contract. Will they finish out a lot of Collision? And I'm with you. And I wasn't 100% locked in all night tonight to Dynamite, but I didn't see many or any reference to Rampage tonight, unless it was very small. I didn't see anything that was major.
I saw one right before they said the Swerve Tanahashi match for Collision. They had a Rampage match, but it was like one match. But I can't remember who it was now.
Yeah, so I think that's gonna. I mean, we kind of talked about that before, right? Like that's probably what's gonna happen. But I love the show. I love the intro too, by the way. To me, that was the best part.
Yeah.
But the first 15 minutes was great. I love Punk's promo, and of course, I'm just a Punk fan. I've said that over and over again. Anything the guy does, I love it. And I don't think there's gonna be a hard brand split. I think that the other seed that I love being tossed out there was we get Punk and MJF potentially at All In at Wembley, which would, to me, I told you guys through text last week, sign me up for MJF and Adam Cole. Well, if I can get MJF and CM Punk in the middle of all this, then give that back to me also. So I think there's some things that they can really do well.
Something going with Adam Cole and MJF.
Well, yeah. I was about to. I don't want to run that for Kyle, but did you see that, Jeremy?
Y'all can run it. I'll watch it.
Matt has not watched either. He warned me. You got spoiled. So.
See, Matt, we have more in common than you thought. See,
I completely agree, and I thought Jeremy and I were about to have a little Elton John bonding moment, but then he kind of quickly pivoted away to, I just like I like the promo first 15 minutes. I actually thought, to me immediately them paying the money for the rights for Elton John to kick off the thing was for me like, okay, we're putting some brand value and some investment into it. It visually kind of looks different. I mean, I know it's probably kind of how much can you do with LED TV sets, but it's a bit wider of a set. I think it's even fancier probably than their Dynamite set is. And then the graphics package is a little bit different. And the voices, I kind of agree with you, KO. It didn't work, but how much can you hear JR and Shabbat? I mean, I love Taz and Excalibur on Dark. That was like one of my favorite things. That was almost like a podcast, just having them, just completely, joke about what baseball game they're watching in real time because they're, taping it like on Tuesday or whatever. They're talking about what they were really doing and at the time. And I love that chemistry, but I think you do need to develop some more voices. I think you can kind of criticize the WWE. They've been going through a carousel other than Michael Cole and Corey Graves. Who do you really have that, you can talk about? You miss Nigel or you miss the other guy who did the UFC stuff that they had.
Moro.
Yeah, Moro.
He was good. I like him.
He made NXT great, and I wouldn't mind hearing him on AEW.
Originally the talk was he was going to be the guy for Collision, but then they did not join Kevin Kelly.
Well, I think
probably because. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the reason that I like them, but I don't know if they were just, to me, I don't know if it was just my television, but I feel like they weren't turned up enough. Like the crowd was so loud
quiet
that you couldn't hear them. And I think that was part of the problem with it is like, I mean, Chicago was so hot coming out. You opened it with CM Punk, and it was just like they were trying to talk. And then you had poor JR had no voice. They shouldn't even have put him on air.
No.
Honestly, at this point, he just needs to be a backstage producer type. I mean, I loved him back in the day, but he couldn't hardly talk. And so that didn't help either. He didn't add anything to me in that main event match because you couldn't understand him as being JR. It was a guy that was kind of hoarse and didn't have a voice. But I like Kevin Kelly and I just dropped his name.
Nigel.
Yeah. I like them. I just think that maybe they need some time to get some rhythm together and get their voices up louder. Because like if you can't hear them, then why are they talking?
But you also don't want them. I mean, you also don't want them the focus of the match. But I do think they can add a lot to it. And I'm with you, Matt. I don't want the same voice. I don't want Excalibur and Taz and Tony Schiavone on Collision. Keep them off of it.
It needs to be a different show.
It needs to be different. It needs to be completely different. So I do agree with that. I think maybe, like I said, maybe it was the first night with them back together that not together, but the first night of them on the show, just kind of getting some jitters out. And what I heard about Morrow is because he does a lot of UFC stuff. Well, that's kind of hard to be on Collision when UFC's on Saturday nights. So there may be some times where we get special appearances by Morrow, but I don't think he'll be a full-time guy. I think Kevin Kelly's the full-time guy.
Or bring somebody over from Dynamite to Saturday and put Morrow on Wednesday night.
Yeah,
I like Morrow. He like, honestly, he could turn a match that's like a semi-entertaining match into something that you really are on your heels, just ready to, it's gonna be a pin any moment. He turns it into he just does a great job of like getting you into the match, even if it's one that you don't necessarily thought you were going to care about.
He makes everything an event.
He has the KO effect of broadcasting. That's what he has. He makes everything seem important.
I like that.
But a couple things I did like tonight, Punk, when he came out briefly tonight, he said, "Hey, I'm not even supposed to be here tonight. I'll see y'all on Collision." I did kind of like that. He showed up, but he still made a point to say, "Hey, I'm a Collision guy. You won't see me on Dynamite much, but we're in Chicago tonight, so I'm here, but I'm a Collision guy."
Well,
and then it will be interesting.
Because if Kenny and Omega or Kenny and the Bucks had come out, they would have gotten booed out the place tonight. That's what I read. That's why he was there, to get that pop. And then like they weren't there. They did their stuff in the back, like recorded. It was all recorded, pre-recorded stuff, because they didn't want them to get booed. Because they would have gotten booed after Punk just lit into them the other night, and they were on fire for that. So they were going to be the heel when they're coming into a match where they're supposed to be the faces. So I think that was more of a smart move by Tony Khan.
Hey, let me ask you this: do we think that what happened in Chicago Saturday night is an anomaly? Is Punk going to get cheered everywhere he goes, or will he get booed at other places? Because I mean, Chicago is Chicago.
It's going to be a mix.
Yeah.
He's going to get a reaction though.
Oh, 100% he'll get a reaction.
I mean, it's kind of what like a John Cena. You either love him or you hate him, but he always gets a big reaction.
Yeah.
Same deal.
Well, like Roman Reigns. I mean.
Yeah. But, hey, and speaking of that, Brandon, you're right. You must have been reading my mind.
Good
because
segue.
The third off the topic is Into the Bloodline? Question mark. What about the ending the other night? I know we're not. I mean, but we've got a pay-per-view coming up that we'll talk about next week. But what a way to kind of finish or get to the end of this story that's been told for the last 3 years.
Cinematic masterpiece on SmackDown Friday night. It was phenomenal. I mean, Jey Uso has been fantastic in this run as main event Jey Uso. And then I was watching it in bed, laying down, just relaxing, watching the whole segment. I physically sat up and popped myself when he said, "And I'm out too." Wow. It was great. It was fantastic. Sets up Civil War at Money in the Bank. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about that. But you said this kind of getting to the end of the story. I think this story is far from over.
That's why I said question mark, because there's a lot of things they can do with this, and the Civil War thing I think is going to be interesting, and we'll talk about that next week. Hopefully, get together. We'll recap this week's show, and we'll talk about that one. But there's other family members they could sign. There's all kinds of ways that they could really continue this on. I mean, what do you guys think is going to happen?
I'm gonna actually take a little contrarian approach because got K over there popping and this is the best cinematic masterpiece, and it was well done. There were elements of it I loved, like just the quiet thing where Sammy's back there and he walks by and having that element into it. So I mean, and then the way it was done, the I'm out and I'm out too, that was good. But we knew this was coming. I mean, there's no surprise, like when Seth turned on the Shield back in the day, that came out of nowhere. That was a kind of we knew this was happening. It took them 3 months to get here. And so you knew that on this day, this was going to happen. And it was told well, but there was no surprise element. And I don't think we've seen a surprise in this whole run up ever since WrestleMania. Everything has been very, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. So to that element of it, the actual surprise and intrigue, I've been a little bit underwhelmed. Is it being told well? Absolutely. But as far as a surprise or a shock, I'm not getting that.
So I love Ted Lasso, right? And Ted Lasso just finished the third season, and they asked Jason Sudeikis, "Are you coming back?" And he's like, "I don't know if we need to," right? Like sometimes more is less. And here's my concern now with this story: as well as they're doing right now, if you go too far with it, it could be bad. And I
Is it
guess
like the NWO-esque where
yeah,
it just kind of got where it was so much and it just ran it to the ground?
I don't think we're there yet. My concern is that they're going to try to milk it and milk it and milk it and milk it. And yeah, you could bring other people in, but does it have the same effect? And you're right, it's the NWO thing, right? It's exactly what happened. I mean, not exactly what happened, but it's the same point I'm trying to make. There comes a point where you have to leave it alone and you have to let it go. Otherwise, you're just trying to get more out of it than is there. And listen, like I said, we're not there yet. I love the whole story still, but so the Civil War thing happens at Money in the Bank. What's next? Like, what are you going to do after that?
I think that's the intrigue of it. I mean, I think that's where to Matt's point, being surprised. Well, where do they go after that? What's next after that? Because I know we'll talk about it next week. I don't see Roman and Solo losing to the Usos. Something's got to happen, but that's next week's conversation. But to your point, Jeremy, what's the Bloodline's carrying WWE right now? That is the main storyline that people tune in to see. They are invested in the Bloodline story. So if I get what you're saying, it will run out of legs eventually. But right now, what else is there? I mean, what else is there to make you tune in every week?
Well, on SmackDown, nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed and almost, but whatever his name is, I don't even care. Okay.
That wasn't even me.
The point is this. Well, I just know how much you love him.
I do.
There are a lot of things on Raw they could do that could carry. I mean, there are a lot of things right now that I enjoy personally. It has nothing to do with the Bloodline. Like the comedy part now of Sammy and KO is great to me. I love that part of it. I think what they're doing with Seth is great. I hope he doesn't lose to Finn. That's next week, but I think there are some things they could do. I mean, Seth has carried that company before, and we could argue that even during the Bloodline thing, he was still carrying the weight of a lot throughout that whole thing. So, like I said, it's going to run out of legs. I just don't have. We've talked about this before. I don't have the faith in WWE to end it when they need to and not go too far, I guess, is my only thing about it.
No,
but
they'll ruin a good thing for sure.
Right, and we don't want them to do that because we've enjoyed it so much. Seriously, it's the best thing in WWE that we've talked about or had in how long? For a long time. And so if they ruin it, then it's like, crap, let's go to dark again, whatever.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up our off the topic. Let's hit our topic tonight, fellas, and that's Forbidden Door. Man, there's some pretty huge matches here that we've got to predict and try to do our best to get them all correct, as we usually don't do because they do a good job. It's not like WWE where we can get a 7 out of 7, 8 out of 8. They're easy. There's some of these that are pretty predictable, but there's some good ones in here. And I'm just going to start the top of my list here. I guess it's the pre-show match: Athena versus Billy Starks. It's the first round of the Women's Owen Cup tournament match. I'm going to be honest. I don't know who Billy Starks is. Do you guys know?
I had to look her up.
I had to look her up tonight.
I don't. I mean, and I'm pretty versed in wrestling, and there's not too many that I don't at least never heard of, but I don't know who she is.
You
gotta get back to watching Dark. She was a Dark's darling. I think she's 18, if I remember her right. And she's like just brand new, but like a wrestling phenom and really talented. But Athena, and I haven't watched much ROH, but I really like Athena's new edge. So that it'll be fascinating to hear what y'all think about. You got the 18-year-old phenom against the woman.
I think it's a squash match. Athena wins myself. That's who I'm going with.
Yeah, I got Athena. Athena in a quick, maybe they'll let this Billy Stark do something a little bit pre-show, but Athena wins pretty easily.
Yeah,
It'll absolutely not be a squash match. I mean, they're going to let it go because they can wrestle. I mean, it's kind of like we talked about a little while ago with Asuka and but Bianca Belair, or Io Sky and Bianca Belair. When you can wrestle, let them just go out there and put on the show. And I think we're going to see that. Athena is probably one of the more underutilized talents in AEW, and I think they're going to make her look good on this thing. But you need a good dance partner to look good, and Billy Starks is very talented, and I think that she will do the job in more than one way.
yeah. I was gonna say, Matt, you said underutilized, but man, they had to spend some money to get her over there, and like for what so far? So I think she'll win. And just looking at the bracket, I mean, what are you building for? When you look at what's on that half of the bracket, do you get a Nyla Athena semi, and one of those takes on Britt Baker, or I don't know, but I think Athena will win. But you're right, man. They just have not used her in the way that I mean, when she came to WWE, that was a big deal. They made a big deal out of it. And AEW has just kind of been like, hey, here's another one to go in there. And I think she's a lot more talented than a lot of people that they do trot out there, night after night. So I'll go with Athena also.
I'm taking Athena. I'm with you, Matt. I know it's crazy. I'm with you, though. I don't think it'll be a squash either, only because this is a good time to highlight two women that are underutilized in the division. And it's on the pre-show. And is this the only pre-show match so far that we know of?
That is all that's been announced.
Okay, so my thing is this Owen Cup is a good chance to showcase Athena. I think she'll beat Billy Starks, but I think it'll be a good 10, 15-minute match that both of them get some offense in. And it's a good chance for Billy Starks to see where she's at, because Athena is a very good in-ring wrestler. She's very good at wrestling. So it's a good chance for Billy Starks to kind of, okay, where am I at now in my career? Where am I at my progression? I know I'm only 18, but where am I at now? So I think it'll be a good match, but I think Athena wins. And I mean, I say 10 to 15 minutes, but Athena wins.
Okay. I mean, the only reason I think squash just because I don't know who she is, but I mean, you guys are probably right. They'll probably give her something. If it was on the main show, it'd be one of those bathroom break matches for Kyle there. But since it's on the pre-show, they're probably going to try to sell a few more pay-per-view buys. So they probably want to try to, now that I think about it, they want to try to. Now we don't know. There may be some other matches that they add. We still have Dynamite and Collision before the show, which is still crazy to me. They have, they're having this on Sunday. There's still 2 more, like 3 hours worth of wrestling before this show. And so they, we technically could have some more matches even on the main card added. But I'm sure there'll be at least 1 or 2 more pre-show matches at some point.
Yeah, they don't need to add any more on the main card. So this thing doesn't need to go till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Last year, I was telling Brett this earlier, but they had 4 pre-show matches last year and 9 on the main card. If y'all and you mentioned that, Kale, last year it lasted forever. I felt like it was way too long. But even the matches last year were 9 minutes, 6 minutes, 12, and 5.5 on the pre-show. So I think they get a little bit of run unless they add some more on there. I think you're right. They probably get a little bit of run. If you're going to try to sell tickets, last year on the pre-show they had Max Caster, they had Keith Lee, Lance Archer. So it's they obviously feel like it's important to have these 2 on there, and I think that maybe they can do that with those 2.
All right, so we'll go to the next one here. AEW Women's World Championship match: Toni Storm versus the New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Champion Willow Nightingale. Now I don't know if y'all or kept up with how she won this title, but she was actually wrestling Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, and she got injured. Moné did, and it was actually planned to put the belt on her, but Moné got injured, made a call in the middle of the match, puts Willow Nightingale over. Now she's the first ever New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Champion. So I don't know if you guys knew that story, but I thought that was fantastic for Moné just to have the thought in the middle of the match, knowing she's get really injured really bad, and just to finish the match and put her over. That's a professional right there, to say the least. And I think that's a class act right there. She could have continued to finish the match and then gave it up, but she let her take that moment now. And Willow Nightingale is now elevated because she has beaten her. I don't think she's elevated here. I'm going with Toni Storm. She keeps the title.
I disagree with you, Brett. I mean, I'm picking with you. I think Toni Storm wins, but I don't think she's elevated at all because it's almost like for whatever reason with this New Japan and AEW thing, they don't really mention Sasha Mercedes. Like they never, for whatever reason, that part of New Japan is not coming over. So I almost feel like that match never really happened. I know they briefly mentioned it, I think, on Collision that, that's how she won the title. But after that, it's not like you don't – I would think you
Well, we
if
know,
you really
we know about it,
you
though.
say that up.
We know – I'm talking about as far as we know about it, though.
But that doesn't really mean anything. Like, oh, she got a kind of a win in Japan. It's things happen in Japan, and we know that. I don't think that makes her a bigger star here in AEW. She's still kind of that mid card,
But
fun person
her
to
holding
watch.
a belt, her holding a belt, I mean, at least gives her some.
Everybody's got a belt in AEW right now. We got Ring of Honor, and we got U.S. titles from Japan.
I got a belt. You got a belt.
But if you don't know what the belt is, then what does it matter who's holding it? Like I've never heard of the strong women's championship.
It's a brand new belt. They just added. It's for their
US.
It's for their US branch of New Japan Pro Wrestling over here.
And they talked about that. It was either Saturday night or one of their shows last week. They actually did talk about her winning that. I'm not on board with Brett necessarily on this. I think they're trying really hard to push her. And I just don't think they're having any success with that. I mean, you're right, Matt. She's or KO. She is a mid card. Like of all the women in that division, could you ever believe that she would be the one carrying the belt? And I just don't think she can.
I like Willow though. I like her. I think
it's not that I don't like her, but
you guys are taking an odd proportion here. I didn't say that she was like top level. I just said it elevated her from where she was. She was at nothing, and now at least she's
something.
And yes, she's more than we had for Billy Starks. Okay,
she's in a title match on the pay-per-view at least.
Okay. I know. So that was my point. I didn't say that.
So was Natalia.
I don't think she has any chance to win it. She's not anywhere near in Toni Storm's class to win this match. Don't get me wrong at all. I just think at least that gives her something. Now she has a title, so it makes her look stronger. Even though we know she's not really strong as the top. I think that puts her in the mid card area. That was my. She goes from not even being any title matches at all to now at least she has a belt and a title. So now she's in the middle of the pack versus just being down with like what's the blue? Not blue ice. Blue. What's her Sky Blue? Like she comes out, she's cool, she does matches, but what do we know about Sky Blue?
Oh,
she's from Chicago. She got a big pop the other night. That's it.
Yeah.
Her mom's always in the front row.
That's what we know, KO.
Anytime Sky Blue's in the ring, it is not a bathroom match.
She was on the same level as Sky Blue. Now she has a title, so now she's at least above her. Like this is what I'm talking about. Just elevated somewhat.
Okay, Brett. Okay.
I'm just saying, y'all acting like I put her as like top of the card match.
You used the word elevated. That's literally what it means.
Elevated. I said elevated from where she was. If you take an elevator, you can go up one
floor.
She
was at the very bottom, and now she's not at the very bottom. But
yeah, you can be on the ground floor, and you can go up one floor, and that's elevated. Not
she went from nothing to something.
Her no differently now, but she's a fun wrestler. When she comes out, she brings energy. She does the dancing. She gets good crowd reactions, but it's that, and that's one of the good thing about AEW is they've got a good mid card. They've got stories in the mid card, and that's one thing that you're kind of starting to see with WWE a little bit. They're trying to develop the mid card a little bit more, but she's been zero elevated from this. She just has some random title, from some random promotion, and okay.
Okay.
Here we are.
I agree. I agree to disagree with you a little bit there. It's okay.
This is what I'm here for, by the way.
So I'm the only one that's picked this match. I'm guessing since you guys all love Willow Nightingale so much, y'all are all going with her.
Incorrect.
I took Toni.
Storm wins.
Yeah. Toni Storm.
It's Tony time. But I do think this will be a really good match because one thing about Willow is she doesn't fight like a woman in the ring. Like she goes. Like she will. I guess strong style is a good word for it. They're legit shots, and her and Tony will go back and forth. So I think it'll be a physical match, and I think it'll be a good match. But ain't no chance that Willow's winning this. It's Tony Storm.
No chance, you said, huh?
No chance, I say.
And to be clear, I don't even think Tony Storm is a upper card person. I think she's probably the top of the mid card. But I mean, she's no Britt Baker, that Saraya. She's not.
We lost Brandon.
Wait. Did you time out, Matt? Time out. Did you just say Tony Storm's under Saraya?
Yes.
No.
What?
Watch out. You have made conflict. Oh, man.
I had to leave on that one. But
who draws money? I mean, she basically sits down as her finisher. She puts your head between your legs and sits down. That's her finisher.
What does Saraya do?
Yeah.
Saraya can't even wrestle.
This is my house. That's all she does.
It's her house.
She's walking around doing L's and spraying spray paint on people. She ain't been in the ring.
She got that from Fortnite.
Come on, man.
But she's still the marketable person. I mean, you can talk
Just
about
because she had a movie.
She draws money. That's something. How many movies have been about Tony Storm? Tony Storm is an attractive.
Hey, don't get started there. You just can't watch
it. Easy, Brandon. Brandon.
I'm sure there's a website that has Tony Storm videos on there. I'm just saying. It costs some money though. Anyway, that was okay. I'm sorry. Proceed, Brett. I'm sorry.
No, y'all are good. I'm just
mind blown. I'm mind blown about Saraya being over Tony Storm. Saraya ain't wrestled in a ring in 10 years, and she's out here. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
All right, clean sweep for that one. Let's go on to the next one. We got this one. I think. I mean, there's some good matches in this card, but this one could be one of those, like, I wouldn't say surprise because there's a lot of good wrestlers in this match, but one of the underrated ones that could be, one of the better matches. The Fatal 4-Way match for the AEW International Championship. Orange Cassidy defends versus Zack Sabre Jr. Wow, he's amazing in the ring. We got Shibata and Daniel Garcia.
So, and no spoilers, but for them, but they set this match up perfectly tonight too. It was a great tag team match. Yeah. They set it up perfectly. They announced it, and I just like the four of them in the ring at the end. How you'll see it when you go watch, but
you could kind of see where this was going last week when Garcia walked up with Zack Sabre Jr. there. I thought it was going to be a triple threat. Then when they said Shibata, okay, there's your Fatal 4-Way. Right. I didn't know this was be announced, but it makes sense.
So you got three guys that have titles in this match. There you go, Matt. Everybody's got a title.
Everybody's got a title.
Three guys.
Except Daniel Garcia.
Garcia is the only one without a title.
So Garcia wins then, right?
Oh, you're going with Garcia.
No, I am not going with Garcia.
No, hear that?
Are we putting all the titles on the line on this one? Is it like some sort of
the only title on the line is the International Championship, Orange Cassidy.
Only the All-Atlantic title.
Now, here's my theory on Cassidy. If he can win against 29 guys or however many he faced last time, they surely can beat three other guys. So I'm going with Orange Cassidy again.
Yeah, I've got Orange Cassidy.
I went with the field last time, and he beat me. That was my one downfall there last time.
Yeah. I'm going with Orange Cassidy, and I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, I know the 4-Way last year with Adam Cole and those guys was a great one, but I thought last year the best match of the night was Orange Cassidy and Ospreay. That was my opinion from last year, and I think we could have the same thing again with these four guys. I'm going with Orange Cassidy again too, just because I think that's how they value him in AEW in that way, and I think he lost last year in that match to Ospreay, and I think this is a match that he can win. I don't think that Sabre or Shibata win because I don't think that you're going to see them on TV enough. So it's him or Garcia, and I think it's Orange Cassidy.
That was my point, Jeremy.
Who takes the pin? We think Garcia takes the pin.
Garcia takes the pin for sure. That was my point. Going to be my point though, Jeremy. And let's use AEW logic here. Zack Sabre Jr. just showed up on TV last week. He ain't been on TV in months, so he ain't winning the title. He's already got a title. He ain't winning the title. Shibata, New Japan wrestler, he ain't winning the title. They're not going to give it to Daniel Garcia. So, yeah,
The
Has
only
to.
thing is they talk about being able to represent that title all over the world. Could it be a situation where one of those two win it and somebody goes and wins it back? I mean, that's a legitimate thing,
I don't
but I don't
think
think
Tony
they will.
Khan's gonna take it off AEW television, because then what would he open the show with? You open the
Oh.
show with an Orange Cassidy match.
Every match, every week.
Was
Orange
tonight,
Cassidy
timeout. Was
opens.
tonight opened with Orange Cassidy?
No.
No.
Okay, good. All right.
Not good. That's I thought that his theme song was part of the intro. I didn't know what was going on.
Every week though, Jeremy. Every week.
Yeah.
Listen, I think for what he did, we could. I'll
I
argue
love
for that
OC.
guy. Listen, when I
I
first
love
started
it.
watching AEW, I thought this guy needs to get off the screen. And now we're here 2.5, however many years later, and I'm like, if this guy wasn't on the show, I may not.
It's
watch
like,
it, but
give me
maybe I
more
would.
orange.
Yeah,
I love Orange Cassidy. I just don't want to see him open the show every Wednesday night.
Well,
That's
Kyle's going to love tonight's opening because I remember our last show, or either last show or 2 shows ago, he talked about how much he still wants to see the Hardys every week.
oh
And
my
they open
god.
the show tonight.
So I can skip the first match, is what you're saying.
yes.
Well, no, the match is good. No, the match is good, and
Not
there's a
watching
good,
the match.
there's something good at the end of
There's
it.
good storyline, so don't skip it.
Okay. All right. I'll suffer through it. I got OC. I'm taking Cassidy.
I got Orange Cassidy, and I don't like Jeremy. I like watching Orange Cassidy, and I think this is gonna be a fun match. Probably the way they set it up tonight made me want to see it even more.
Mhm.
Is like if they would have just announced it last week and not done anything tonight, perfect. Oh, it'd be a fun match. But now I'm like invested in seeing how it goes. I think Orange Cassidy wins.
Yeah, the fun thing with Forbidden Door, the fun and bad thing about it is there's a lot of prescription as far as who's got to win, because you've got 2 different brands, and obviously they're not going to be doing too much intermingling. And you do put Daniel Garcia in this match to take the loss because you protect the New Japan wrestlers in this. Zack Saber's actually been, from what I haven't been watching Ring of Honor, but I've seen some clips where he's been doing more Ring of Honor. So he's been on TV a little bit, at least under the AEW properties, but I don't think they're going to give him the title in this. I think we're going to get a banger match. That's why they have the 4, and that way Garcia eats the pin and Orange Cassidy can win it, and we all get to enjoy the Forbidden Door of the uniqueness of the match. But at the end of the day, Orange Cassidy is going to keep it.
I agree with Kyle. There we go. Yeah. All right. We all agree there as well. So we're going to move on to the next one here. We got CM Punk versus Satoshi Kojima. First round of the Owens Cup tournament. Satoshi Kojima, Kyle. I'm just gonna say it. CM Punk first one-on-one match. There is no chance.
There's what?
You know that song? There's no chance.
Here we go again.
There's no chance that CM Punk loses this match. I'm going with CM Punk.
CM Punk's actually going to get someone older than him.
Yeah, 52.
Kojima's like 50 something.
52. Here's a sentence that'll maybe make you change your mind. He is considered to be one of the greatest Japanese professional wrestlers of all time. He was the first wrestler to hold in New Japan's heavyweight championship. Doesn't change my opinion. Punk's winning.
First wrestler, does that mean he's like 70, 80?
He's 52, Brett. I mean, the guy's early life is written in black and white pictures on this guy on Wikipedia. And yes, I'm using Wikipedia as a reference now, and that's okay. You can do that in school now. They'll allow you to, but Punk's going to win. Punk's going to win.
Don't come to my class, Jeremy. I'll take you out to the woodshed.
Mine either, but mine either. I'm just telling you, there are a lot of teachers now who will say, yeah, why wouldn't you use it as a resource? Mainly because I can write whatever I want to. Yeah. There's a lot of reasons why, but that's a whole nother
how would you
topic.
just say you might as well just put Chat GPT in their resources as well?
No, let's don't talk about that. Jeez.
Brett, I'm going to give you a challenge right now because you're very technologically savvy. You need to get us a window with a Chat GPT, like a 6th person sometime, just to ask him questions like, who is this Kojimi person? And, we can have like a little running thing with what Chat GPT thinks about what we say.
That's actually a great idea for a whole new show. Yeah. KO, Matt, and Chat GPT. I'm in.
That could be entertaining.
Definitely be entertaining.
And then so basically Chat GPT would be the referee of the match.
Yeah.
They'd be going back and forth, and Chat GPT would tell us who wins.
Off the mat with Chat GPT.
There you go. Off the mat with KO.
KO and Matt. There it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Off the mat with
Yeah.
KO and Matt.
KO to the mat. So he's
no. Why do I got to get pinned?
No, KO, like you're KO'd to the mat. Like when you get KO'd, you go to the mat, you fall on the mat.
Right. Anyway.
We are definitely falling
You're
apart
taking
here.
the LKO. You got the spray paint. We got the right there.
And you'll be Saraya spraying me with it.
Right.
Okay.
Well, is there anybody that's not taking CM Punk here?
I'm taking the name I can pronounce. CM Punk.
Wow, one
CM
Bill
Punk
Phil,
for me
baby.
as well.
One Bill Phil.
I'm taking CM Punk, and I'm looking forward to that CM Punk Samoa Joe because I figured that's what you get in the second round. But I'm like, I can't tell who's going to come out of the other side.
I haven't even looked at the whole thing. I mean,
So I'm gonna ask. Maybe this might be a dumb question, but what do you get for winning that little fancy Owen Cup belt like that? Does that get you
Nothing.
anything? Like,
No.
is there an
last
end
year
to a
when Britt
meeting?
and Adam won it, they did nothing with it. They
Like-
carried the belt around for like a month and then
but it was
Can
cute
you-
how it matched.
Can you cash it in for like a title shot? Like, can we make this mean something? Because otherwise, why do I care who wins the Owen Cup tournament?
You
Because
don't,
it's
but
got
at the end of
Owen
the
in
day, it's just a way to needle WWE because, hey, we're going to talk about Owen Hart and have Hart family people on our television show. They'll come
It's
on
like-
ours.
It's like their version of King of the Ring. Of course, WWE, all they do is add King to their name for a year, and they run around with King Corbin, or
King
was it
Corbin.
King?
don't
King
forget they got to get the
Nakamura?
accent too. You got to get the accent.
Mm,
So
yeah,
you talk like a king.
yeah.
I
I
think-
don't know.
Hey, by the way, Brandon, it's going to be Hobbs and Starks
Yeah.
on the other side,
who's
and then
Joe and Punk.
I think you're going to get Joe and Hobbs because I think the other two are going to be locked up into something else. Anyway,
You're not going to get. They're not going to put Punk in the finals. They're going to have Punk lose.
something's going to happen. Anyway, we'll talk about
Maybe
it later.
we get Punk and Starks. I could get behind that.
Who would you put? Anyway,
All right. Well,
continue.
all right. So we all another sweep. We all went with CM Punk. The next one's interesting.
We can't
Okay.
all pick the same.
Well, it's gonna change.
You
here.
can,
This
but
next-
you can be the contrarian KO. Pick a
I will.
wrong match.
So
I will.
this
Tell
next
me when I lie.
This next one's going to be
this
different.
next one could be difficult. Okay.
It's good.
We got the BCC versus the Elite in a 10-man tag match. Now, I'm a little disappointed that this isn't something more than just a 10-man tag. Like, can we get another crazy match? Like, make some crazy stipulations other than just like a 10-man tag match.
And you got to name the 5 for BCC for Kyle and for the Elite because he's trying to figure out who's all in it.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Okay,
you should
here we
be.
go.
They
There
only
we
got 4 in the.
Bill, BCC, of course, now Brian Danielson's in another match, so he can't count.
Oh, Tanahashi.
So we got Blackpool
Takeshita.
Combat is going to take, yes. You've got Moxley, Yuta, and Casanoli. You got Takeshita and Shada Umino. I know you know who that is. Is that the guy with the weird haircut? I can't remember.
No, that's the guy that was against Jericho tonight.
So
Oh, yeah,
Danielson's not even wrestling in it.
No, he's got his
another
own
match.
He's in the
got-
co-
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So
you're right.
that's your Blackpool Combat Club, and then you've got the Elite, which Omega is also in a match.
Right.
So you've got Hangman Adam Page, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, Eddie Kingston, which you know how much he hates John Moxley. So he's the what is it? Your enemy of my enemy is your friend, whatever that saying is. He's joining up with them, and then he announced at the end of the night a while ago, he announced the mystery partner. Who was that? Jeremy?
Ishii.
Ishii, yeah.
Ishii, right,
yeah.
right. So
So Yamino, how we say his name? We're going to go with Yamino. He was actually in Forbidden Door last year. He was with Kingston and Yuta against Jericho, Guevara, and Suzuki last year. So he's, I guess, one of those guys want to come over and do that.
Oh, is that the big bald guy
No, he's not
that
bald.
chops really hard?
No, that's Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah, you're talking about Ishii.
Oh,
I'm talking
Ishii.
about Yamino.
I'm sorry, I got my Ishii and Ishii's mixed up. I apologize.
some of these are rather
Yamino's-
confusing.
Yamino kind of has he's got some cool hair, man. That dude looks like he's got a nice flow. But Ishii is bald and he's got the crazy eye. Me and Brett were actually on here waiting on you guys when he came out, and I was like, man, that guy. If I see him in an alleyway, I'm out.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I feel like that Blackpool Combat Club picks up the win here. I think they're going to do something shady. I don't know. I feel like
Don
that.
Callis.
Yeah, Callis is involved. He already kind of was talking to Osprey. He's been scheming against Omega. I think BCC wins here in this match.
I'm going to agree with you, Brett, just because, I mean, they've been kind of going back and forth and trading wins, and Hangman and the Elite and the Bucks got the win on Dynamite last week. So I think the Combat Club is getting their win back. And maybe it ends up being on Ishii to where you keep the kind of, if he wasn't in the match, things would have been okay, and sets up another rematch. But I think you got the BCC for me as well.
I definitely think we're going to get another rematch with Omega and Danielson involved in it as well. Yeah, I want to be different, but
come on, KO.
I agree with Matt. Everything Matt said. I'm taking the BCC.
I'm going to go BCC also. Last year after Forbidden Door, the next Dynamite had our favorite thing ever, Blood and Guts. And could you get a Blood and Guts match the next week potentially with BCC and the Elite? The interesting thing is obviously you have the two New Japan guys who are going to be leaving. They won't be there for Blood and Guts, but you could add back Omega and Danielson. If you want to keep Kingston there, then you got 5-on-5, and so maybe that's what's next. But
yeah, it could be
all
in or all out. One of those two. Where it could be, it could kind of the end of the feud there, possibly.
That's how I would end it. I mean, truthfully, I would end it in Blood and Guts. I just think the Elite can afford to take the loss and it doesn't hurt them at this point. I mean, they're not riding any kind of high, and BCC's, they're at this high right now with all the stuff they're doing with the Keshta and Callis right now. I don't see how they don't win as the night goes on.
Yeah, what all you guys said, I agree. BCC's going to win this one. I thought we'd be different, but I guess not.
I was hoping.
Well,
we got time.
Matt made such a good point that I couldn't argue it.
Yeah. All right. The next one, we got a 6-man tag match. We got Team Jericho, which is Jericho, Guevara, and Suzuki versus Team Sting and Darby Allin and the TBA, which will be announced on Saturday night. So I don't know if that makes any difference, but they're not going to announce that partner until Saturday. I'm going with Team Sting here. I think here's what I think. Either the partner that they get is going to be a really good one, and it's going to make the match, or does Sammy Guevara finally get tired of Chris Jericho, and because he was about to get fed up with him, and Jericho kind of reamed him in last week. I think that was on Dynamite, where he came out and he kind of talked him down. And the crowd was getting behind Guevara a little bit after his big match in the Four Pillars match. They were kind of getting behind Guevara a little bit. I think maybe Guevara is tired of Jericho and ends up costing him or screwing the match over. So I'm going to go with Team Sting here.
So I saw Tony Khan's booking sheet of paper that he carries around, folds up in his pocket. Chris Jericho is going to win this match. Guevara, Suzuki, they're going to win. I'm just telling you what's on the booking sheet. Is Sting has been saying for weeks now and months that he knows what is going to be his final thing. He knows it'll be him and Darby. He wants Darby involved. I think that this is going to set up another tag team match between Sting, Darby, and Jericho and Sammy, where I do think Sammy then will help Sting win. I didn't realize Sting and Jericho haven't been in the ring together before. And so I think this is going to be Sting's, like we're seeing the last couple of matches for Sting. I think there's two more. I think there's this one, and I think we'll have the tag team match where Sting will get his win against Jericho at Wembley. That's just what was on Tony's sheet. Don't hold me to that, but I think Jericho wins round 1 to set up round 2.
Subject to change.
If he gets his eraser out, yes, his mechanical pencil,
or Vince gets a hold of it.
Oh boy,
I'm gonna go. First off, I don't like what they're doing with Sammy. I think they're force feeding him to be a babyface, and I don't like that. I get it. His wife's having a baby. Congratulations, that's awesome. But that doesn't make you a babyface. Like that in and of itself doesn't make you a babyface. I think it's almost a little cringe how they did last week with him coming out and trying to cut this promo, and he's all babyface now. I'm fine with Sammy being a babyface, but let it happen organically. Like don't force feed it down my throat. I do think Sammy's gonna turn on Jericho, and I hadn't thought about him doing it after the fact until you said something, Jeremy. But I'm still going Team Sting, and I think Sammy cost Jericho the match against Team Sting.
And KO, you were talking about, Sammy was leaning babyface about a little bit over a year ago. He was starting to go over babyface, and then he got with when him and Ty got together when she was Ty Conti at the time, but Ty Mel. Then they started, and then he had to like turn back heel because the crowd hated it so much.
Well, yeah, because they're coming out sticking each other's tongues down their throat in the middle of the aisleway.
And he'd like and the affair with the lady he had just proposed to on TV. And so so they had to force them back to a heel, and so now he's been that way. So yeah, I would, like you said, I wish it was happening organically, and then all of a sudden they had to pivot, and then now, like you said, they're trying to force feed it. But also, I'm gonna go ahead and go on a limb and say the mystery partner is Tetsuya Naito.
Okay.
Look at this guy. Okay.
Because Jericho's two main matches in New Japan outside the one with Omega were against him. And I saw, Jeremy and Brett watching tonight. Sting whispered something to Jericho's ear, and Jericho reacted, but then Sting's like, we'll tell y'all. But I think he told Jericho, hey, who it is, and Jericho's eyes got big. So it's going to be someone Jericho has a history with in New Japan. That's just an option, but it could be anybody. But Kenta doesn't have a match either, so he could be an option too. But
the other thing about this is the reason why I think this goes longer is that when I was watching that last Wednesday on Dynamite, it felt like they're using Jericho and Sting to use Brett's word, to really elevate more Guevara and Darby.
Easy.
I mean, I think that they really feel like Darby and Sammy are going to carry this group, in the near future, and I think it's their chance to use them to get that. I mean, I don't think they need the rub, but to get the rub from those two legends, I think to kind of partner with them.
To carry the match too, because they can't go as long.
I mean,
it'd be hard. Jericho Sting in a match 1-on-1. I mean, how long can that really go?
I don't want to see that.
At least Sting keeps his shirt on, right? I mean, thank you for that.
Jericho doesn't look bad though.
Oh my gosh!
For his age, he doesn't look bad.
Hey, Calvin, you missed tonight. You missed your favorite old wrestler, Jarrett. He did the concession stand match. It was rather entertaining.
By the way, terrible.
Reach for the sky.
Fortunately, we all get our victory over Jeremy because he's wrong on this one. It's going to be Team Sting, pretty clearly. I mean, has Sting even lost in his AEW career at this point? I mean, I'm pretty sure he's undefeated. I don't think he's taken any losses, and I don't think he's going to take a loss. I think they're going to use and Jericho, to his credit, has not had a problem jobbing at all. If you need a loss, Jericho will give it to you, or he'll take it for you. So I think that he will. I think we're going to use the Sammy. Whatever Sting's next angle is, I think this is going to help set that up. And whatever we're going to see with Jericho, I think we're going to get that set up, which seems like it's going to be the separation of Sammy and Jericho. So I think Team Sting will win. And I don't know Japan stuff, but if you remember, I guess Great Muta's last match was with Sting and Darby. So maybe there's some connection with that we might see as well for the mystery partner.
And Matt's picking for me over here. I picked Team Jericho.
Okay, I'm gonna get a point on you too.
All right,
and listen, here, I'm gonna advocate for this. If he picks the mystery partner correctly, he gets a bonus point. I'm just gonna tell you he basically went to a whole other country and just picked somebody. And if he's right, that's worth something, right?
That's a good.
But Matt doesn't get any credit if it's Great Muta.
If you do for one, you got to do for the other, right?
But he didn't really predict it. He just kind of threw something out there. He just threw something at the wall. And
I mean, that's my whole career, is just throwing something out there and seeing what's
all of us, right? Or most of us.
Yeah.
Well, no, even Jeremy sometimes too. He just writes a lineup on the sheet and hope it works.
Yeah. And it has not worked many times, just for the record. But no, I mean, I wouldn't even know. I honestly, I wouldn't even know where to start picking who it could be. Truthfully,
We got to have someone from New Japan in this match other than
Yeah, it's got to be because you usually have somebody on from each, so that there's no need to have them fight on Forbidden Door if otherwise, right?
Yeah, and Jericho has a history over there, so.
Well, maybe it could be like Roman Reigns crossing over to Forbidden Door. Wouldn't that be a
Kevin Owens? His Fellowship of Friendship or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It just I'm for the day when it's actually Forbidden Door, when just anybody can show up, when they can get along, and just anybody can show up and put together a huge card and make a big pot of money. To me, that makes so much sense. But
too many people to protect at that point.
Yeah,
I've always thought that, right? Like, how would that? And this was my thing about last year when AEW and New Japan got together. I was thinking, okay, somebody's booking this thing, right? Like, how do they get in the room and decide, okay, this is who's going to win this? I mean, you got to protect people, and hence we're getting a lot of the 5-on-5 or the tag team or whatever. But that's why WWE AEW would never work. Could you imagine if MJF and Reigns, like, that would be terrible for whoever lost, right? Like, it would not be good anyway. But I'm with you. Us four, KO, we'll let him involve too. We just put together this big tournament. Anybody welcome.
We just book whoever we just book matches and they have to show up.
I say we just play rock, paper, scissors for it in the back, and that's who wins.
Yeah.
I mean, in that hypothetical though, they're going to be setting up an MJF Cody rematch for that hypothetical Forbidden Door.
I'd be all in on that. No pun intended. Ooh. But I would love it. I would love it.
All right, so the next match we got, fellas, is for the AEW World Title, MJF versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. I mean, MJF. I mean, at this point, honestly, I know they have to book this match, and I think it's going to be a great match where he'll have some near falls. They'll try to sell Tanahashi has a chance here, but they're not taking the belt off MJF here.
No. You're right, and I mean this gets into where it's almost formulaic in the booking, as far as you got IWGP Championship match and we got an AEW Championship match. They're going to feed him They're going to feed him Perry, which is going to be a loss for Perry. And they're going to feed MJF that, and you're going to see no title changes, but you'll see good matches. So. I think you're going to see MJF win, and you can put down Sonata for the other one for me while you're marking ahead. And I think you're just that's just the way they have to book it. I mean,
I guess for me, the question is, do they have to book it clean? Maybe do we get an interference from Adam Cole or whoever? I mean, how much do they want to protect Tanahashi? You don't have to protect Jungle Boy, by the way, while we're talking about that. Like, he's more Marco Stunt at this point for me than he is Jungle Boy until he gets better ring gear. We'll talk about
he just needs to get elevated, Jeremy.
Well, if he gets on that elevator with Willow, he will get elevated.
He can win an ROH Pure Championship or something.
What does that even mean, by the way? But anyway, that's another story. But
MJF, the Pure match, like, you can't. There's certain things. There's certain rules that's specific for that belt.
Well, that seems.
I think there's like only
no rope breaks and no punches.
No punches. Like, they do that anyway, and what they'll do is they'll knock the ref down, then they'll do a punch. Oh, it's okay then.
Yeah. That just seems like somebody who created little leagues that everybody gets a trophy, but that's whatever. But I can't compete with MJF, so I'm going to go make sure that nobody can punch me or whatever. Anyway, MJF wins. No chance he loses. It's just a matter of how he would, how he wins.
And I think I'm gonna go with MJF winning, but I saw a theory on Twitter the other day. I thought it was interesting. And before tonight though, but they were saying, how, because CM Punk had his belt in his bag the other night and kind of saying, "Hey, I'm still the champ. And MJF kept saying he wasn't going to show up for this match. He kept saying Tony Khan can book it, but I'm not showing up. I'm Tanahashi's beneath me, so MJF doesn't show up. Punk takes the match, but now Punk has a different match, so it's not going to happen. But Punk takes the match, wins, and it sets up Punk and MJF for who the true champion is. But that's kind of out the window after what happened tonight. But MJF's going to win, and I think it'll be a good match. But there's no mystery to it.
MJF.
Welcome
back, KO.
Thanks. I was listening to y'all. Never mind. I was listening.
So, Sonata versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Anybody taking Jungle Boy here?
Marco, no.
Polo.
Stunt. I'm telling you, I was, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about him being in a championship match, right? And what the question was, is he worthy? And I was buying into the fact maybe he's worthy of being in that match. And Matt told us he wasn't, and he's not. Like, get the dude off my TV. You can't even take him serious at this point with that stupid gear. And speaking of belts that are meaningless, what in the world?
Hook.
What is?
Yeah, Jungle. Don't mess with Jungle Hook, Jeremy.
Oh my gosh!
You get a title. You get a title. You the IWGP TNT US Tag Team Trios Champions. I mean, come on.
Tonight the main event was a TBS. Like, what in the world?
Just start merging all these belts then. Just, hey, let's have a unification match every week.
Well, y'all didn't want them separate. Y'all are saying it's dumb to not give them names. Like, y'all were mad about the Women's World Championship and the Women's
Universal. They could have gotten a little more creative with them a little bit, At least AEW's titles are they're kind of like they're a little bit different. They've got some different. You get the international.
It's borderline boxing at this point. Like, I wish there was a list of how many boxing world championships there were. There's not one because there's not enough paper to write them all down. But
yeah,
I don't know that I've ever watched Sonata in a match. He's going to beat Jungle Boy, and I don't even know. Like,
is that the bathroom match of the night? Maybe.
I don't think it'll be long enough.
It'll be a fun match.
It'll be a good match.
No.
But if you're going to take a bathroom break during this,
I'm not going to watch it. I mean, seriously, I'm so out on Jungle Boy. Like, Jungle Boy no mas. Me and Kay will go to the bathroom together. I'm out. I'm not doing it anymore.
Hey, how, Jeremy? Did you get your TV set up? Is the question. Are you ready for this weekend?
You know what? Yes, I am. And it better be.
Brandon, you too. Brandon's ready too. Yeah.
Brandon, you have a better memory than I do. Was it at one of the Garland events where Jack Perry actually had like a 4 or 5 star match against like somebody like Sammy Guevara or something? Like it was a surprisingly good match.
Yeah, it was that one, not the last one, but the one way, and it was the one where that's when they had to turn. It was Sammy and Jungle Boy, but that's when they had to turn Sammy back because he had just he started getting booed that night.
And it was a solid match, so he can put on a solid match.
He's a good hand.
I like Jungle Boy.
He's a good hand.
I like Jungle Boy, but I'm with Matt. They're not taking the AEW title off MJF. They're not taking the IWGP title off Sonata. So it's predictable booking. It'll be a good match, though. I think it'll be a really good match. I like Jungle Boy, but he ain't winning.
I think the better alternative to what they're doing here is why don't we get Sonata versus MJF, not for the belts, but it's champion versus champion.
So now like Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Because then are they worried about who's going to get the loss? Like someone's got to take an L, and then
somebody's got to take the pin though.
Yeah. So then this way they both can win, and they stay strong or whatever. I guess.
Then let them really fight. Let's go for real. Let's see.
Let's just let them really box out there.
Let's get Butterbean out here and just let it go.
Yes.
No. Yeah, against Jack Perry, please, and in that man. I'm so over it.
Speaking of really,
why? Where did this hatred for Jack Perry come from, Jeremy?
I'm not a Jack Perry guy either.
Backstage last week, his interview backstage, I was like, why is this dude getting TV time and we can't get Miro or Andrade or Buddy Murphy?
Oh, we got them now. Now. They're on Saturdays.
We could have had Buddy Murphy. We could have had whoever else.
Saturdays.
I'm over it, man. Like, there comes a point where I can't even take. All right, here's the truth.
It's like, get close, everybody. We gotta. Uncle Jeremy's gonna tell us some truth now.
Okay,
how do you take that guy like KO? Look at his ring attire, dude. Like his boots look like
he's a Jungle Boy.
No, he's not. You can't be Jungle Boy and
he's not
Luke
Jungle
Perry's
Man
son.
yet. He's not Jungle Man.
He's Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Yeah. I'd rather have Marco back. I'm just telling you.
He's a modern day Tarzan
Maharaja
in the ring.
Modern day Maharaja.
The only thing that's more the only thing more ridiculous than Jack Perry is his former partner Luchasaurus. What the heck are we doing?
He's the TNT champion. Remember, I predicted that. Remember, guys, I told y'all
that's not the issue.
Christian would not win that match. That Luchasaurus would come take the title. What that? I think.
Let Christian tell it. He just won the title. Did you see how he celebrated?
Yeah, he did.
Like he won the title.
That was
And the
great.
TNT title, speaking of titles that are useless, TNT title is absolutely useless. It's hot potatoed more than a nursery rhyme song. It is ridiculous. Like it is hot potato. Anyway. Sorry. Anyway, it's hot potato way too much. The title is meaningless. I don't care who has it at this point. Get it off my television. I don't need to see it anymore.
And put it on Jack
It's
Perry.
pointless.
And let's get him
Next week we'll have the new TNT champion, Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus KO.
All right. Listen, he'll whoop me because he's quicker than me. But you know what? If I ever get on him, I can pin him.
Okay. All right. The next match we got is Bryan Danielson versus Okada.
Make it rain.
This is going to be a good match. I'm going with Okada here over Danielson. I just think they're gonna put over CM Punk down here below, kind of our balancing act. CM Punk's gonna probably go over. I think this is their gift back. Danielson's gonna put Okada over, and Okada's gonna win this match. What do you guys think?
See, I think your logic is sound, but I'm going to take your logic and flip it. I think that the corresponding match with this is Ospreay and Omega. I think Omega's gonna put Ospreay over, so Danielson gets the win on this match.
Okay.
Hey, didn't Okada wrestle last year?
Yeah, he was in the 4-way with Adam Cole and Jay White.
Oh, that's right.
But Danielson did not.
Right.
And Okada looked really good in that match last year too. I'm torn on this. I think it's probably the one match that doesn't have a belt attached to it that we're like, I don't know. This could
go either way. Yeah.
I'm thinking Danielson too. But I could see it going either way. I'm on Matt's side here because I do think Ospreay's going to win. So I think the flip there is that you let Danielson win this one. So I'm going to go Danielson, but man, it is as 50-50 of a pick as I've ever made, probably.
I'm going Danielson for the same reason that y'all two just said. I think Ospreay beats Omega, and Danielson gets the win over Okada.
I'm gonna go with Okada. I'll be a little different here, and
hey, we finally got something different.
I picked Okada.
Yeah, we got 3-2 here. We got
First match, we got somebody different.
The Jericho match,
Come on.
Jericho
Yeah,
match.
we got two different
Jericho.
Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about, guys. Just go on. Carry on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Okada here. Like that's why I was like, don't start the show yet because I'm trying to see what Danielson and Okada is doing in Dynamite.
Yeah,
this is the first time I think in 4 pay-per-views Brett and I have a disagreement. So this is big.
Well,
I'm just glad it's not targeted at me this time.
It's a pretty. But that's one of those. This is one of those picks.
It's a WWE thing.
I could see this going either way. Honestly, I won't be mad if I miss this pick because it could literally, you could take a coin and flip it, and you could pick this one. I think, but I still agree with you guys. I think Ospreay takes the title. It's an IWGP title. Needs to go back to their television where it can be. Because obviously Omega's got some things going on here. He crosses over somewhat, but not near as much as he used to when he was in New Japan all the time.
He says he's not going back. I was reading an article today where he says he's, kind of giving the pre-match stuff, but maybe he'll just keep the title in America now because I don't think he's going back
and
much.
Callis costs him the title here. I'm going to just go ahead and say, since they had the little talk with Ospreay, Callis and Ospreay is going to provide him security tonight. I'm going to say that Callis has a hand in this, and it kind of continues their feud back and forth with the Elite BCC thing.
Well, since we're moving on, I love Ospreay. I mean, we kind of just left the Danielson Okada, whatever. But
you can still talk about it.
No, I don't need to. But it was kind of weird. Anyway, but Ospreay, man, that guy, after watching him last year, like, I think I told you guys before, like, I didn't have any interest or even know a lot about those guys before Forbidden Door last year. Man, falling in love with some of those guys and what they do and how great they are. I love Will Ospreay, and I know that he's the heel in the situation. He's aligned with our boy Don Callis or whatever. But man, I think think the guy could be a huge star. I mean, he's already a huge star worldwide, right? But if he were to stay in America and be on AEW full time, or even whatever, he could be the guy here. And so I think he wins the match. I really like what the guy does.
Love Will Ospreay. Huge Will Ospreay fan. I'm like you. I didn't know anything about him until Forbidden Door last year. Watched him in that match with Orange Cassidy and fell in love with him. I mean, he is fantastic in the ring. So much so that the other day I was scrolling through the channels, nothing was on TV, and I saw this thing that said New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, clicked on it. It was an old from like 6 years ago Ospreay match when he was facing somebody. And I sat there, well, let me watch this. Will Ospreay, I like him. Let me watch. And fantastic. So huge Will Ospreay fan. And I think that Ospreay gets the win this year over Omega.
Yeah, KO. I did something similar recently. I saw like a New Japan something on. I clicked on. I saw it said something that Ospreay was gonna be. So I was like, oh, it's and I. Yeah, and I'd seen him a little bit before. He was one of the rare guys I'd seen before last year, but not a whole lot. But then that match with Orange Cassidy, I mean, that was like one of my favorite matches, and I've started watching him more and more because of that. And now, like him and Omega are two of my favorites to watch. So this match is going to be incredible. But also, I love Ospreay on Twitter. Him and Seth Rollins go at it all the time on Twitter, and it's pretty funny that they have a fun.
I need to give Ospreay a follow.
Yeah, they're very funny. Just because both have huge personalities, and that's this is a dream match. That would be we talked about mix and imagine. That would be the dream match. Would be Seth and Ospreay, but Ospreay and Omega. That's gonna be fun, and I'm gonna take Ospreay for the win. Like you said, I think he gets that title back.
And I already spoiled it. I'm taking Ospreay, and I think that's how they get Danielson to win. And even in their rivalry, he's owed one. I think he's owed probably more than one to Kenny. So I think Kenny is gonna redo the favor because those matches have always been classics. So I expect one more amazing match out of them.
So clean sweep there. All right. So just some final thoughts on this, guys. I think we kind of all in agreement here. Even though the matches we kind of know, or we think we know, kind of where they're going to go for the most part, I think, and the builds haven't been the greatest. I think the matches in this pay-per-view are what's going to be the thing that makes this pay-per-view great. Not the storylines, not who's going to win type deal. It's just going to be the matches themselves and the athletes, that we don't see wrestle very often. You got a lot of guys interacting that don't get to showcase. For the American fans that don't watch or haven't seen a whole lot of New Japan Pro Wrestling, it gives them a chance to showcase some of these guys, and possibly at some point, like you said, maybe Will Ospreay. I like Zack Sabre Jr. Some of those guys that are in New Japan. Maybe Tony Khan can get those guys over, and you have 2 shows now. Some more opportunities. You'll probably have another 10 belts according to Matt. Everybody gets a belt. So lots of opportunities to get them on TV. So I think that's the kind of thing where if they do well enough, then maybe TK's like, hey, you guys interested in your contracts up? Come over here and I'll pay you some money. We're expanding and adding some new shows, and we'd love to have you. So I think it's a good opportunity to get the fans, the hardcore fans know these guys. Okay, like we're pretty hardcore. We have all heard of most of these guys, not all of them. But your casual fans don't know these guys, and this is a great opportunity to get them some exposure. Anybody, y'all want to wrap up? You have any final thoughts on the pay-per-view in general?
Yeah, I think we're going to get a couple more matches Saturday. Just making some notes here. What does FTR do? Does it maybe United Empire or something like that? But you also got, Switchblade and Juice. You kind of have that interaction tonight with those. So what does that look like?
The new members of Bullet Club Gold.
Yeah,
the Gun Club.
Yeah, and so. So the question is, if you put Switchblade and Juice and the new Gun Club, the Gun Club guys together, who do you put with FTR? It's not already there. I don't know what what New Japan guys are there. I'd love to see FTR versus United Empire or Aussie Open again. That was a good match last year too. But then what do you do with Bullet Club? So I think we'll get another maybe 1, maybe 2 matches on Saturday, which I think could all be really good. You just kind of start looking at who's already in a match and who's left, and then are there any big returns that maybe happen? I know the storylines. That's why I think, to go way back, the Guevara thing I don't think happens at this pay per view because I don't think it needs to, right? And so that's kind of why I would think even return wise, is there anybody coming back and would they do it there? I don't think so, but surely FTR gets a match on this thing, and I think Switchblade and Juice. I think it's kind of natural to get them in there with Bullet Club stuff. The Bullet Club people that are in New Japan now. Maybe you get a match between those guys. I don't know what it would look like.
I think this is the one pay-per-view that I won't be upset that there's not a lot of build or storyline to, simply because this is more of like a dream booking pay-per-view. You get this once a year. Now, yes, Ospreay and Omega have storyline built back in New Japan. Same thing with Danielson and Okada. So they've kind of got storyline built in. I don't need a full month build up to this. Like, just give me the matches. Give me some banger matches. That's what I'm expecting out of this pay-per-view, is some banger matches where the outcome, yes, the outcome matters, but at the end of the day, majority of these matches won't matter on AEW television. Like, Danielson losing to Okada will not hurt Danielson one bit on AEW television. So I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a really good match or a really good pay-per-view. I disagree with you, though, Jeremy. I hope they don't add anybody else. Simply because I don't want to be up till midnight, 1 o'clock trying to watch this pay-per-view. And you can't put everybody on there. Like, people are going to get left out. Like, you can only have a show for so long.
And that's what I think.
I do.
Maybe it's just one more match. We put somebody with FTR versus Juice.
I would rather have FTR on there than Switchblade.
Well, I think they're going to be involved.
Rock hard, Juice Robinson.
I think
hard.
Not going there. But I think that
this is a family show, guys. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
That's his name. He's Rock Hard. He's Rock Hard. All right.
I think they'll all be involved in one match, is what I probably think it's going to be somehow.
We'll let Brandon have the final word because I want to yell at Kyle, and then Brandon can give us the optimism.
What did I do?
To end this thing? Kyle, you are part of the problem here. And where you are part of the problem is you are excusing bad AEW booking because you know you're going to get good matches. We talked about it with Double or Nothing, that build wasn't as good as it's been in previous things. And now we've got two straight. We're starting to get into trend mode. We're not getting into, just that. They could have built this up for a year. They could have been planting seeds for 6 months, or, even if they didn't get to grow for whatever reason. They had the opportunity to do it. They've been doing lazy booking, and you are the kind of endemic fan who is allowing them to get away with this kind of crappy booking. You are the problem, Kyle, and we need to start holding AEW back to the higher standard that we used to hold them to back when they were producing banger after banger 12-match pay-per-views that had every single thing with 2 to 3 month storylines. Kyle, quit being part of the problem and quit enabling bad booking from Tony Khan. Brandon, make us smile.
Time out. Can I retort
Brandon,
real quick?
I all that.
Can I retort?
I just want a definition of endemic, please.
That was going to be my second question. Firstly, though, did I not say at the start of my little monologue that this is the one pay-per-view I will excuse of not having build-up and storyline? And then I followed that up with there's built-in storyline already in most of these matches. So I'm not part of the problem. I agree. They need to get back to better booking. But for this night, for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, this is one night where I don't really care about the stories because we don't get to see these New Japan wrestlers all the time. That's all I'm saying.
And y'all,
when it comes to AEW, yes, we need better storytelling and better booking.
But y'all didn't see the night. Like, I thought the way they ended last week with what Ospreay did, Omega to end last week, and then what they did tonight, which y'all haven't seen yet. I thought they set this pay-per-view up pretty well, considering what it means. Like, because like Kyle said, this is the one where you really don't need it.
1 week.
Not that they,
1 week. You're like 1 week. Oh, they did good for 1 week.
Okay, but the problem is most AEW pay-per-views have 3 months in between them. This is the first one they've had in a long where they only had a month because they just did Double or Nothing. Like,
Yeah, Matt.
Brett sent me a message saying, "Hey, we need to do this at 9 o'clock because we're putting 6 matches on the card from tonight."
I mean, that's true.
They did wait.
That is true. But the 4 ones they had set, well, the 3, well, no, because Jungle they did. No, 2 of the two main matches they've built pretty well.
I would have bought the pay-per-view off the Okada Danielson Omega Ospreay matches. If that was it on the card,
those two they built well.
And you are justifying lazy booking when
That's not
AEW
it.
set a standard of having 12 matches on pay-per-views with
That's
multiple
too much
storylines, with all of
That's
them
too
having
much.
multiple month storylines. And now you're like, well, 2 matches. I'll take 2 matches. Come on, Kyle.
But this
Have
is
higher
I don't
standards.
want 12. I've told you that.
It's
I
like
don't
you're
want
drunk
12.
at the bar and justifying the overweight woman at the end of the
Whoa.
bar, thinking, "Well, she ain't
Whoa.
so bad. I've had a couple of beers now." What is wrong with you?
Well, I think Jeremy had a good idea. I think the Chat GP with Colin Matt on the same show might be a really entertaining.
Look, I'm down for it. I don't know how Matt feels. I think it would be highly entertaining. We can get those
I told
views
you
up,
how
Matt.
I feel, by the way.
What's endemic mean?
It's like just you're part of the problem.
Oh, okay. What'd you say that then?
I got to be honest. I tried to Google it. I couldn't even spell it. Like,
ENDEMIC, endemic.
Oh man!
You'll look it up. It'll say part of the problem.
but the lazy
With a picture of me on it.
the lazy booking is right. I mean, they're using the biggest draw they have right now, which is CM Punk, and just threw him in a match against a guy today that we all had to look up and see who it was. I mean, and they did that because they knew they could. Like, oh, it's CM Punk. People are going to watch it, right? And I don't think you have to have a lot of build for this. I'm going to give him a little bit of. I shouldn't even say because Brandon started talking and then Matt got on him. It's just going to get on me next, but. If it wasn't for the fact that the last pay-per-view was not very well booked, then I wouldn't worry about it. But Matt's right. Like now it's becoming a little bit of an issue where it's 2 in a row. This one gets a little bit of a pass, but you're right. They have a year to know what's coming.
So
right?
let me ask you guys a question. So we got all in and all out like back-to-back weeks. How do you? I mean, you're really gonna have to do some storyline because you got to have 2 pay-per-views basically with storylines built up like right in a row, even closer than this. So, I mean, that's scary in
when
itself.
are they?
It's in August. Like
They're both in August.
One's the end of August. One's the beginning of September.
Wow.
So it's like back-to-back weeks almost. I'm not sure the exact dates, but I mean they have some time. But that's a lot of stories to build up for 2 pay-per-views. I mean,
Is
you don't want to
first of the 2?
All in's first, then all out. The one in Wembley is all in, and
Okay,
but that's going to be a lot of storyline. So this is going to be a test right here, Matt. We'll know here come these next 2 pay-per-views whether or not if they've got a good 2 months here, but they've got to build for 2 back-to-back pay-per-views. I mean, you got to think you can't have. Are you just going to have a bunch of rematches? Oh, the WWE formula, they just say, "Oh, well, it was we'll just have a rematch," at the next. I mean, you can't really do that.
Tuesday night in Texas pay-per-view from 15 years ago, where we just rematch Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Well, they have 2 extra hours now a week to build up, I guess. Joking. But the other thing is WWE method is to use a pay-per-view to build for the next pay-per-view also. And I don't think AEW can do that. If Wembley's first, you can't use Wembley as a stepping stone to the next one. Like it's your big deal right now. And you're right. I think it's August 27th. So they've got 2 months to build for that or something like that. But all out, whichever one's second, it could get bad, I guess.
Well, it's going to be interesting. It should be a banger of a pay-per-view. And we'll be back next week to review it. We'll also talk WWE Money in the Bank preview show. So that'll be next week sometime. And we'll get the guys together again and we'll see how this pay-per-view lines up. We think it's going to be a great one on the match card, but we'll see how they do it. This is Off the Ropes, episode 10, AEW Forbidden Door preview show. For Jeremy, Kyle, Brandon, and Matt, this is Brett. We'll catch you next time on Off the Ropes on the Disrespect Sports Network. See you, everyone.
Everyone placing their impact. The rally for roads you ain't ready. No one can ignore. This is what you waiting.